Welcome to the Strong Enough podcast, where we talk about the challenges and celebrate the triumphs of people from all walks of life. I'm your host, Claudia. Today's guest is going to talk about growing up with a disability. He's going to share how he was able to remain positive and uplifted and live life to his fullest. Now he helps other people with disabilities find jobs and live their best lives. Please help me welcome David Darkangelo. David, how are you today?
Doing well, Claudia. Thank you. It's great to be with you.
You know what, my friend? It is great to be with you. And I say that with so much sincerity because just the few minutes that we have been chatting, I feel so uplifted and I feel so much better than I did 20 minutes ago. And that is your energy and your spirit. So I am so grateful that you're here today.
Well, thank you. You're excellent. And I just love celebrating people who have demonstrated perseverance. I like to say the path to prosperity is paved by perseverance. Really, everything that you accomplish in life, all of the good things particularly, comes a result of perseverance. And sometimes it's through adversity. It's difficult times. It's, a trauma or an accident or, a mistake you made. Whatever the case may be, that adversity, to get through that and to learn from it, that perseverance, I really think builds character and high character people, of which you are one, Claudia.
Thank you so much, David. And I'm looking right back at one. Absolutely. So you talked a little bit about perseverance and prosperity, and we just kind of dove right in. So I would love it if you would take a minute and, other than being a fine, upstanding, uplifting human being, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My story is, probably like a typical story. You've probably heard it a million times. I was born legally blind, and some of my first memories are my parents bringing me into Mass Eye and Ear, one of the best eye places in the world, and them telling me and my parents, oh, you should be teaching him Braille because by the time he's 8, he's going to be completely blind. So when you hear that as a 4 or 5-year-old, you're like, what? What do you mean I'm going to be blind? Like, I don't want to be blind. Like, no. And so then you get to 8 and your vision's a little different because I've had some hemorrhages and detached retinas and things, but I can still see. And so, but again, they say, hey, you should really be getting him into programs and teaching him things because he's probably going to lose his vision by the time he's a teenager, right? And so then I get to a teenager and go back in. Now I'm alone and I'm not with my parents. And it's a new doctor. And he says, look, if it hasn't happened by now, Dave, go live your life. Live it to the fullest. Well, that's all I had to hear was go live to the fullest. And at which point I totally changed my personality from being I don't want to say I was ever introverted, but being more demure and just waiting for this awful thing to happen to me and everything. And so I lived my life and I went out and I did every thrill-seeking thing you could do, from roller coasters and everything else. It got to a point, though, when I was 20 and I went skiing and crashed and detached my retinas and went completely blind. And as I was lying there in the bed, and that doctor who had told me that came in and said, yeah, about that. I didn't mean to go do that. He said, but we're going to try something. And at that point, they tried 3 different procedures on me at the same time. They gave me a scleral buckle, cryogenic freezing, which is now turned into Avastin, and laser surgery, and a couple of other things, sheep's cornea, and all these other things. And they restored my vision, which is rare. That doesn't really happen to people. So, but ironically, the vision that used to be good used to be my right eye, and then I couldn't see out of my left eye. Well, now they made it so that my left eye is my good eye and my right eye, I can't really see anything out of. So think of that for a second. If you went your whole life with all of your memories being a certain way, now you go back and you look at it and you have this different vision and you're like, well, wait a minute. So that gave me a unique perspective on life. But that was challenging. That was very challenging. And I had to persevere through that. And with the support of good family, good friends, and God, really, and my belief in God, I believe I've received miracle. I believe that I had my vision restored for the purpose of being able to make good on the talents that God has given me. And so, but then I was also impacted because in my family, my cousins who I had grown up with, technically it's not my cousins, it's my cousin's daughters. So what does that make them? My second cousins or whatever.
Yes.
I was an oops baby. So most of my oldest brother was 20 years older than me. And so my cousin was 20 years older than me. So her kids were almost like my age, right? Well, it happened at a point where actually a little bit in the story I was just telling you, when I was 15 years old, and my parents said, look, we got to go away for a while. We'll be back. We'll probably be a week or two. And so they didn't tell me why they were leaving, but they left me with my 3 young cousins to care for, who were like 10 and like 8 and like 5. And so here I am, like a 15-year-old taking care of them. And this is before the internet and everything, right? So you waited by the phone. Mm-hmm. I didn't get a phone call for 2 weeks. And I was like, where the hell did they go? Like, what's going on here? Well, when they came back, they wouldn't really tell me what happened. But about a year later, my cousin came. This all happened down in Texas. And she came back from Texas and said, look, I want to tell you what happened. And basically, she told me that my cousins, again, her kids, they were brutally raped and murdered. And that was devastating for me. I can't even imagine what it was for her and the rest of my family to go through. But it was devastating for me because I literally didn't know what happened. Mm-hmm. And here I am, like almost like mad at my family, like you left me. Like, what was this all about? And then to find that, like, I felt so guilty for being mad at them. I felt so terrible for them and what happened. They actually, they made an episode of them. If you look on that Discovery Channel, that mm-hmm. ID channel, mm-hmm. they're on one of those. And actually, the case that actually ended up convicting their killer was one of the first cases where they used DNA evidence to convict the person. And my cousin Joanne, what grace she had to actually forgive that person is just like beyond belief to me. So again, that kind of reinforced my already faith in God to show me how important that was in my journey. You know what I mean? So that was difficult. That was adversity and being able to react to that. And then after that, I was involved in an accident where I've never been able to drive, right? But I was in the back seat of a car where just about 100 yards from our houses, we crashed, hit a tree, and my friend right next to me died. And so all of those things, all 3 of those things happened within the span of like 5 years from the time I was like 15 to 20, just after 20. And so that really impacted my path in life. And I remember when I was going to school, I was enrolled at Suffolk University when that happened. And I went to school Monday morning. Like I went to classes Monday morning because I didn't know what else to do, to tell you the truth. And I finished out that school year. Then I detached my retina a little, like another year later. And so I wasn't ready for homework at that point in time. So I withdrew from school. I was still rehabilitating from my eyesight and everything else. And I got to a point, though, where I was doing roofing because I had grown up doing that. My best friend's family that lived right down the street from me, I would always, in the summers, strip roofs and lug shingles and all that stuff. And I was at a job site in the middle of winter, freezing, and I went down from the truck to get lunch. And I remember a kid that I went to Suffolk University with was there, and he said, hey, what happened to you? You disappeared. Because we were friends. We used to get breakfast every morning and everything else. I said, well, I detached my retina. I went completely blind. There was this accident, this whole thing. And he was like, oh, wow, I can't believe it. Come to my graduation party. Now I'm sitting there saying to myself, this guy's going to be graduating and I'm up on a roof. What am I doing? So at that point, I basically turned in my holster and hammer and went back to school, changed my path, went on communication, and then went into public service. My dad had been an elected official. So that was kind of like a natural path for me because I known it. I had gone to my first public meeting when I was 8 years old. I worked on my first campaign when I was 10, right? So that was kind of in my blood and DNA, and I knew what to do and everything else. So when I graduated school, I went to work in government. And I did that for a number of years and then decided I wanted to run for office. I ran for office. I lost the first time, but then I persevered. I tried again and I won. I ended up getting elected 3 times, counselor at large here in my hometown of Malden. So from there, I built my career in government mostly. And then, as an elected official, I became an appointed official in a number of different administrations. Actually, 5 different governors have appointed me, both Democrat and Republican, to the point, though, where in 2014, I became the first person with an openly identified disability to reach a statewide ballot in Massachusetts when I ran for Secretary of State. So although I didn't win, I built a great relationship with the soon-to-be governor. It was Governor-elect Charlie Baker, and he appointed me in his new administration, and I began running the Office on Disability. And I did that while I was city councilor at the same time. So I had 2 jobs going at the same time, and that was busy. And then when councilor at large ended, I got an opportunity from President Trump. I got appointed by him to serve on the National Council on Disability. So I was doing 2 jobs again. By that time, I had been named commissioner of the Massachusetts Commission for the Blind. That's the agency that Helen Keller was one of the commissioners of. So I did that for a number of years. And then what happened was, a Democrat got in there and they wanted their own people. And so they got rid of me. They unceremoniously got rid of me in a very kind of public profile way, where if you go on and Google the stories, you see like I'm some horrible person or something. I mean, it's all politics, but it is what it is. What are you going to do? Again, perseverance. We'll find our way through. So last October, I started my own business, or reopened my own business, Archangel Communications, where I focus on disability consulting and really just trying to improve outcomes for people with disabilities. I'm on the National Industries of the Blind Board of Directors. We're a $900 million corporation, nonprofit, Ability One program. And so we employ more people with blindness than any other organization in the country. So I'm committed to improving the human condition for all of us, and particularly people with disabilities, and making things better. So that's my story in a nutshell, Claudia.
It's a good one, and I have so many directions that I want to go. I want to start by saying thank you, because I have a disability, an invisible disability, and
we like to say non-apparent.
Oh, I like that. So a non-apparent, and
because you're not invisible to me, you matter.
Thank you. See. But people often forget that, or they don't even think of those people. If you can look at somebody and they look fine, then clearly they're fine. And so I just really appreciate that you are fighting for all of us in that arena,
even the people who don't like me. Yes.
There you go. So I'm definitely going to Google your story now, because that's who I am. So I got to Google the
point. There is a data point for people with non-apparent disabilities. We believe it's somewhere, the low end is probably around 30 or 35%, with the higher end probably being around 55 or 60%. So if you take the middle of that, it's probably half of people with disabilities don't necessarily present, in air quotes, as a person with a disability. It's a non-apparent disability. Cognitive disabilities oftentimes are that. But people recovering from cancer or diabetes, let's not forget that those people are protected by the ADA from discrimination.
Yes. And I have a bladder disease, and my previous dog was trained to assist me in understanding when I was going to have a flare so I could take medication and things like that.
Yes.
And you wouldn't believe how many people looked at me evilly, angrily, questioned me that I had a service dog, and it hurt my feelings, because it's like, I don't want to share my whole medical history with you, nor legally do I have to. But people are so quick to judge, if they can't see it, if they can't understand it, then it must not be real. Do you encounter that a lot in your life?
Oh, 100%, almost every day, unfortunately. And I feel you on that. And I understand what you're going through, because there's a couple different layers there. One, when they're saying that, they're basically calling you a liar. They're basically doubting you. And that's not cool, right? So that's a part of it. But the other thing itself is, so in the ADA, there's a 3-pronged definition. And it's a 3-pronged definition for a reason, right? that substantial limitation that you're encountering, or being regarded as having that substantial limitation, or having a history of that substantial limitation, protects you from discrimination. In America, we don't stand for discrimination on the basis of disability or race or gender. And by the way, Democrats and Republicans agree on that. Everybody agrees on that.
Thank goodness.
So, no, they do. But, in the media, it gets portrayed as like the Democrats are standing up for people with disabilities. 2/3 of all working age people with disabilities are not in the labor force. When you can, and remember, if you're unemployed, right, at least you are in the labor force. So 2/3 are not even in the labor force. When you combine that with the people with disabilities that are also unemployed, you're looking at around 70% of all working age people with disabilities who are not employed.
Wow.
Well, if the Democrats want to say that this is our constituency, well, then that's your claim to fame, and it's terrible. So, we have plans now for when the Republicans do take control over to modernize these programs and to fix these programs and to make them better and more responsive, because quite frankly, they're failing Americans right now. And that's one of the reasons why I was unceremoniously removed from MCB, was because I am talking about the truth. And, to me, it's like, if you want something to get better, the first thing you need to do is come to terms with what it is and be honest about it. And unfortunately, there's too many politicians that don't even want to start at that, that base thing, because it doesn't suit their needs or their rhetoric or whatever. So, but we keep trying, Claudia. We're going to do it. We're going to make it better.
I hate to keep talking politics, but I'm going to for just one more second. We do see that, and from all sides, that, people are very often unwilling to take on a cause that doesn't politically suit them or favor them. Do you think we will ever see that change, where politicians really care about issues and kind of let the lobbyists go and the dollars, for raising money go, and just care about us as humans and as Americans?
Yes, it will improve, and it will improve significantly. And here's why. Because our Constitution is the finest document ever produced in the history of man. And I believe in it. I believe in America, and I believe in our people, all of our people. And we'll come back to it with it, but it takes leadership, and it takes leadership at the local, the state, the federal level. One of the main challenges we find right now, there's two main challenges. I'll break it down quickly for you. The first one is these devices. Okay. When I first started going to my public meetings at 10 years old, right? Things like that, right? You had to actually go to the meeting and sit in the audience and be there until 9:00 at night. And you wouldn't dare get up to the podium and say some crazy thing like you do from your keyboard now at 2 a.m., right? So that's a big part of it, right? And I think as that matures and we figure that out better, and, I think that will kind of improve itself, Americans, right? But the other part of it is the media. The media is so corrupt right now, and it's so they're a combination. They're like John Belushi in Animal House. They're fat, drunk, and stupid. There's no way to go through life, right? They are inept at best and corrupt at worst. And they're usually somewhere in between there. And and I hear these lectures like, oh, media is shrinking. The newspapers are shrinking. And they wonder why. It's because it's character assassination, and, if it bleeds, it leads. And so I think we'll improve that as well, because what's going to happen is now the upside of these devices is everybody can be their own reporter, and the truth will get out somehow. So I just believe that water will find its level, and our Constitution will end up winning the day. Now, there's a lot of steps between here and there, and when that's going to be, I don't know. But if you look at it in history, right? So we had Jimmy Carter, very liberal, very Democrat president. Then we went to Reagan, a conservative, right? And then we entered this period of like this kind of a moderate governing type of thing with Bush, and then Clinton, and then Bush, right? But then you went to the extreme again with Obama, and he pushed through Obamacare, which nobody liked, and as a result, now it's being picked apart, and it doesn't serve anybody well, and everything else, and and then we get Trump, who's like, wait a minute, I'm an outsider, and I'm telling you, everybody, this is really messed up. Like, we got to fix this, and everybody in the swamp and the machine just said, whoa, 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 this guy's a danger to our existence. This guy is an existential danger, which is one of the reasons why I like him so much, is because he recognized as an outsider businessman, hey, we can do better. We can fix this. Our system is great. We just got to put good quality people in there. And I think we'll get back to that. I think because no matter who you elect, whether it be Trump or Biden, either one of them is going to have 4 years. So then it really becomes about, well, what's next and what does that look like? So I see America long-term going back to a place of moderation, going back to a place where we've adjusted to the devices and things like that, and where people are more level-headed. Because right now, if you are, somebody who is not sane, let's just say that, who tends to be on the fringes either way, that's not getting rewarded, which is a good thing. So what will win out is when people speak with their ad dollars. I think you've seen that through Bud Light. You saw it through Target. These corporations are now recognizing, all right, look, when we do things, we've got to do it better, that it appeals to more people. And, like, we can't single out, and we've got to, because there is no such thing as anti-discrimination. There's only discrimination. Like, everybody wants to talk about social justice. There is no social justice. There is only justice. And that's what we should have. Justice should be blind, and justice should serve everybody, and due process and everything else. So I am optimistic. I think we're going to get great leadership back in there in November on many levels. And I think that's going to be the start of great things to come for our country.
Let's talk a little bit about your perseverance, because you told kind of your story growing up, and you said a lot of things that were traumatic, that happened to you from a very young age. And it would have been very easy for you to be angry, to be closed off, to blame God, to do everything that you haven't done, basically. What do you attribute that to? Why were you able to turn to the positive when it would have been just as easy, or maybe even easier, to turn to the negative?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's being exposed to positive things. Again, I give credit to my family and to my friends and really God, and reading the Bible and reading like the Republic and reading Epictetus. I think I read Epictetus when I was a teenager. People was like, "Who was that?" Before it was cool. You know what I mean? So I just believe that if anything good happens, I can't take credit for it. That's just the talents that God has given me making their way out. If there's anything bad, that's on me. I start with me. If there's a problem, then I got to do what I need to do to fix it, and not look at others and everything else. Taking that personal responsibility, which is a big reason why I'm Republican, because I believe in that personal responsibility, right? So, yeah, I mean, it's easy to get cynical in this world, but I just think that you got to focus on things that are within your control. And I believe in the strangest secret. We become what we think about. And if you sow positive seeds, you will yield positive fruit. It sounds like obvious or, maybe cliched or whatever, but it is 100% true. And so I just try to stay positive and make good on the talents that I've been given to help others and improve our human condition.
Talk a little bit about owning your own business, because that is difficult for anybody. That's a tough one to take on. So tell me a little bit about why it was important for you to take that on, and what's been the biggest challenge that you've seen in doing that?
Yeah, so originally when I had my business open back in 2008, that was the first incarnation of Archangel Communications. And I didn't even want to do it. My wife made me do it because she was like, wait a minute, you're giving all this stuff away. It's costing us money. You got to at least like charge a basic thing. So I ran it out of my basement as a sole proprietorship through my taxes. Anyways, when I went into public service and I put that on hold back in 2014, obviously I wasn't doing that while I was in my public service up until 2023. So when my public service concluded and I opened it back up, I said, you know what, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. So I formed an LLC. I bought an office condominium. I've gone out and gotten certifications. Like I'm a disability-owned business enterprise. I've gotten certified by Disability In, and I've gotten other credentials as well, like through speaking organizations to be a public speaker and virtual public speaker. You know, I one of the things I left out was I used to teach communication and journalism at Suffolk University, particularly public speaking and business communication. So to put that to use. So I kind of parlayed all that stuff and said, look, let me use my experience in government to be able to improve the human condition just in the private sector. And so now what I'm doing is I'm making my services available to large organizations. So that's city governments, state governments, colleges and universities, hospital systems, large corporations, to help them be more inclusive of people with disabilities. Going back to what I was mentioning, 2/3 of all working age people with disabilities are not in the labor force. Well, I can show these corporations, these large organizations, how they can employ more people with disabilities. And it's a process there. It's not one thing, you know? So yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I mean, but again, as a Republican, one of the things I notice is it's so difficult to start a business. They get you at the local level, the state level, the federal level. I just renewed my LLC. So, okay, I understand it costs a little money when you have to form something, right? There's probably some paperwork that needs to be done. So if they want to charge you a little bit of a fee, you get that. But you're going to charge me the same exact fee for a renewal? Why? What have you done? Like, so that's like an easy thing right there. Like that's a barrier that could easily be removed for business. That's, you know, they nickel and dime you at the local, the state, the federal level just to be in business and appropriately insured and licensed and credentials. It's a couple of $1,000s a month before you even do anything else, before you even turn the lights on and pay other bills, you know? So I really believe one of the ways to improve America is to get that small business engine revving again. I don't know if you're aware, Claudia. Under the Small Business Administration, the SBA, that's the federal agency responsible to track all the business programs in America, they define small business as any organization with 500 employees or fewer, right?
Wow.
So 99.8% of all businesses in America are small businesses. Okay.
Wow.
Yet 40% of the employees, approximately 40% of the employees in America are contained in those large businesses. So that will just go to show you how big, like the Fortune 500 or Fortune 1000 or the Russell Index, you know, those 5,000 big businesses, how truly big they are in scale, right? You've got about as many employees in the small businesses as you do in these large businesses, yet the small businesses are 99 point whatever percent of all the businesses. So I really believe one of the keys is to unlock and unleash prosperity for these small businesses, put them to work. America will turn around quick once that happens. Just get government out of the way. Government at the local level, state level. The largest employer in most cities is that city. The largest employer in most states is that state. The largest employer in the country is the federal government. So at the local, state, and federal level, the largest employers are government. Too much. And it's one thing if you're just going to take all the revenue and the taxes, that's bad enough, right? But then when, you know, it was down, I think it was Virginia, the man's daughter was victimized terribly in a bathroom. He shows up at the school board meeting to complain. They tase the guy and take him out of there. Like, what are we doing? Like, this is the power that we're given to the local, state, and federal government? No, it's too much. And people are saying that less government, more independence for our citizens. That's what will turn America around. I just know it's going to happen. It's going to be great.
I agree with you on so many things that you just said. And going back even to personal responsibility, that is one of the things I feel like, especially as we're seeing these younger generations, get a little bit older, they have zero personal responsibility. And I want to say all of them because I don't want to lump everybody together. But generally speaking, it's always somebody else's fault. It's always somebody else's thing to take care of, handle for them. Why do you think we as a society have continued to make it easy for people not to take care of themselves?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, again, a lot of it goes back to these devices, right? You and I were not raised relying upon technology.
Mhm.
These young adults now have been raised relying upon technology. And so I don't know why. Matter of fact, I have my own vodcast. I'm going to do an
Mhm.
episode on this coming up. I don't know why it's called social media because it's the furthest thing from it. It should be called anti-social media because
Right.
that's the type of behavior it promotes. And it's
Yes.
terrible. And so these interactions that the younger generation are having are based a lot on that. And I think that's a big part of the problem. Also, COVID certainly didn't help. If you know anybody who's in that demographic who got deprived of that schooling
Mhm.
and that schooling experience and that socialization, one of the reasons you go to school, yeah, it's to learn, but it's to be in that atmosphere and learn
Mhm.
from your peers how to just navigate the day. And so when they were deprived of that, I really think that was a significant impact as well. But there are other features as well, the rise of AI isn't helping. The drugs that we have in America are not helping. All of this other behavior that is portrayed in the media. When I was growing up watching things on TV, if there was a gun was going to be showed in the episode, there was like a disclaimer at the beginning of the thing, and they only showed it after 9 o'clock. Now, at any time of the day, you can go see all kinds of very graphic and explicit things
Mhm.
on your tablet, on your phone, on your TV, no matter what the device. So I think that's an issue as well. I don't know how we solve that though, because I am a free speech absolutist. I believe
Mhm.
like there shouldn't be like really hardly any censorship. It disappoints me how much that the local, state, and federal governments hold back in documents and the fact that you got to go through very
Mhm.
sophisticated Freedom of Information Act requests to get even rudimentary information. I don't like that. So I don't know how you fix it. But I just believe in America and I believe in freedom and prosperity in our Constitution. And when you unlock those, all kinds of good things happen and all kinds of bad things seem to just fade away.
When you look at the people that you work with and help, is social media helpful, in them finding you and you finding them? So are you at least able to utilize the positive sides of it for business and for personal gain to get people where they need to be to find a job, to do those sorts of things?
Yeah, it's a great point. Again, I'm a positive person. So I do think that these devices and technologies, for the most part, are done by good people trying to improve things. And for the most part, when they're used well and appropriately, it's a good experience and a positive experience. So yeah, I do try to do that. I do try to spread love through my podcast and through the articles that I put out, the information that I put out, and really trying to get into as many people as I can because I'm trying to improve the human condition. There are a lot of
Mhm.
people out there every day that struggle and have real adversity and real difficult situations that we can do better. We can help them.
Mhm.
And so but where there's you just got to have that will. You got to have the courage of your convictions because you get attacked,
Mhm.
and like I've been on the front page of many newspapers, like I'm this horrible person. It doesn't really matter to me. It doesn't bother me. It bothers others more than it bothers me. And then that impacts the message. And then that's where it starts to be like, well, what are you doing?
Mhm.
Because now you're choosing to be negative against me. And like, I can't let that stand.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's very disappointing to me. And you and I chatted a little about that earlier before we started recording, is that we have become a society that cannot disagree. We can't respectfully disagree anymore. If you say something that I don't like, then I have to condemn you and tell you you're a terrible person and tell everybody else that you're a terrible person. Why did we get away from being able to hear somebody else, not agree with them, and move on our merry way without that so negatively affecting us? Where do you think that went?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think a big part of it is, as America has evolved over the past 50 years, every day we get more and more like this globalist type of thing. And I think that's a mistake because the values that we have are so good, we shouldn't have to compromise them or dilute them. But unfortunately, that's what's happened. And you've got these people like, they all have guilty consciences. The ones who have the worst behavior are the ones who project their bad behavior on others. And it's like, wait a minute, I never had that bad behavior. Why are you projecting that on me? But, unfortunately, not to make it partisan, but that's like a play out of like the Democrat playbook. You know what I mean? They project on others. And it's just, I think we'll get back to more moderation. I think we'll get back to, because I believe in American people, and I believe that most of them just want to get back to the America of old with not giving away all of the new good stuff that we're getting. We're getting so many new good things in so many ways. Yeah, it's technology, but it's all of the other advancements we have. That comes as a result of people working together. And so again, I'm a positive person. That's all good. I think we just hear about it more because of the nature of instant media now, 24-hour news cycle. Everybody's tied into their phone and everything else. That's part of it. So I don't know. I'm just optimistic. I think we will get back to that, Claudia.
I certainly hope so. Talk a little bit about your podcast. Tell people, what it's about and what inspired you to create it.
Yeah, save as ability. What we do is we try to talk about how everybody has ability and we're all in various states of ability. Think about it for a second. When you're born till whatever age, you're very reliant upon others. And then if you're healthy and you live long enough towards the end of your life, again, you're going to become very reliant upon others. So we've got this typical Goldilocks, 50, 60 years in the middle here where most people are very capable. They have a lot of abilities, a lot of skills, and are able to do a lot of things independently. And that's good. But it just highlights the point that we are all in various states of ability. Anybody can become a person with a disability in an instant. There's car crashes happening right now, God forbid, but there's things happening right now that are making people come to disability very quickly or, a trauma. But the number one reason for disability is aging into disability, right? So I like to just talk about people's abilities. I really believe you can't have a disability without first having ability. I'm less interested in what you can't do. I'm much more interested in what you can do. And what you can do is use your talents, use your skills, use your ability for positive means. And with 2/3 of all working age people with disabilities not in the labor force, that's a tragedy. We've got real talent there. We've got the invention for a better light bulb or a cure for cancer or a hit song or something in that group that right now is not taking part. So it benefits the people with disabilities. Guess what? It would also benefit our country. Think of the boon that would be. You hear right now, like, oh, there's so many more jobs than there are workers and all this stuff. Really? I've got a population for you that we can unlock instantly, get those people into the labor force. So it would help our country. It would help business. It's a win-win-win all around when people with disabilities are employed and using their talents and skills for their own independence and self-determination and to make improvements in society. So that's what we try to talk about. We focus on ability and we just try to talk about how people have navigated getting into jobs and being upwardly mobile or opening up their own business, whatever the case may be.
We are going to take a quick turn here before I let you go. And we're going to talk about something so random and ridiculous, but we're going to have fun doing it because that's what we do here.
Okay,
we're going to
great.
talk about tattoos. And the reason we're talking about tattoos is because I love tattoos. I have many. They tell stories of the things I've been through in life. And quite frankly, the audience loves tattoos and they like to hear what every guest has to say about it. So I know that you don't have any tattoos, and that's okay. You're still part of our family. If you were going to get a tattoo, I would love for you to share what you would get and why.
Well, if I do have a tattoo, it's somewhere you can't see it. I'll tell you that right now. But no, but seriously, if I were to get it, it would probably be either the American flag or like an eagle, like a, American eagle or something, or, maybe like We the People or something like that. It would definitely be something patriotic, because I believe that our founders and the manner with which the Declaration, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights were written was divinely inspired. We're a Judeo-Christian nation based upon that. And nowhere in our Constitution, by the way, does it mention democracy. It does say constitutional republic, though. If you look at Article 4, Section 4, what the states should do, they should be republics, right? So a Republican form of government. So it would be something related to that, something patriotic, and maybe, again, either the flag or there would be red, white, and blue in there, and maybe a shout out to the Constitution or something. We the People.
I am seeing like a big old back piece with We the People and a billowing flag underneath
I don't
it.
like
maybe
eagles.
An eagle flying in.
No, I don't like
I
eagles.
see it anyway.
All right. Okay. When you get it, we'll get them at the same time. We'll get it right
on. Well, David, where can people find you? So if they want to hear more about your company, if they want to check out your podcast, if they want to come up to Massachusetts and have a cup of coffee or some iced tea, where can people find you?
No, I appreciate that. Thanks for the opportunity. It's been great talking with you. You can find me through my main site. It's archangelcommunications.com. That's arcangelcommunications.com, archangelcommunications.com. But I also, for the employment, I have disabilityemploymentsolutions.com. That's where I have my programs and trainings specifically dedicated for employment for large organizations. So you can go to disabilityemploymentsolutions.com. And then we sell buttons. We've got angelbuttons.com. And, my daughter is a person with a very significant developmental disability. And even though she's not appropriate for a competitive integrated work environment, I do have her in the office with me every day, and she loves trying to work on buttons and things like that. So, we're a disability-owned business enterprise. So anything you could do to support us, we'd appreciate it. And for our podcast, savevisibility.com, or you can find us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. We're on all those.
David, you have been an absolute pleasure to speak with. I am so grateful that I got to spend time with you today. I'm so grateful that I get to share your message with my audience as well. And I hope that you will consider coming back again. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Claudia. I appreciate you. And definitely want to do it again. Or maybe we'll even get you on Save Visibility.
I'm in. Count me in. Right. You just tell me when to be there.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you for listening to the Strong Enough podcast. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform by searching Strong Enough. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at strongenoughpod. If you have suggestions for an upcoming episode or a future guest, please reach out at strongenoughpod@gmail.com. Remember, you are worth it.